y'all doing? This is Judge Lynn. I hope you're doing well. I actually brought the piece of paper where I had all the information on there with me today. So, I'll be on it now. Someone asked me about the straggler story at Jabs. So yesterday or the day before, I can't remember which. I think it was the day before yesterday because my legs have been sore for 2 days. I went to Jabs, which is an old woman's boxing gym thing. And they were and I found out that I can punch because they were impressed with my punch. I found out my knees ain't as good as they used to be, despite the fact that I can bend them and do all of this. There's something up with them. And I found out that's not going to be a fix to meet friends. And I'll tell you why. These women are in there like, it would be like asking Kobe to chit-chat with you about makeup during a game. It's just, Kobe plays. You know what I mean? He was so very serious and competitive. These women were about their bodies. It was amazing. It was fantastic. And then in the beginning, they always want to invite you. She says, hey, let's say hi to Lynn, our new Kurt. And she said, nobody did anything. Nobody looked. Nobody said, hey, how you doing? They were all about the body. But this one chick, little skinny thing. He had to do wall sits. Maybe I can show you. Well, maybe I'll do it here. Wall sits, right? You sit on the wall like this, except you're on the wall, and it's like you're supposed to be at a 90-degree angle. I couldn't do it on the wall at a 90-degree angle for about 10 seconds, and then I'd have to release and then do it again. Girlfriend, little scared thing, did her wall seat. Her leg was 100 with 90 degrees perpendicular, and she had the nerve to pick up a big duffel bag, and it was heavy too because I picked it up to move it out of my way and put it on her lap, and she threw her arms out and just hung on. I mean, that's some dedication. I'm gonna go back though because I like how my legs are sore. It was leg day and now my legs are sore, and so I think I'm gonna go back today. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. You get 3 free lessons, which is clearly a price I like. There will be a word of the day, Alita. I think Alita Davis, I don't know. Oh, if you didn't want me to say your name, I'm sorry if I did. Said she would like a word of the day. So I'm going to have a word of the day. And DeAndre, I don't really know. But this person asked me, in essence, how do you be true to your quirks but navigate spaces in a professional manner? You came to the right woman for that. Because my life, I am a quirky chick, have always been a quirky chick. And I used to didn't care how the world responded to my quirk at all. I never, just didn't care. Hey, Decker, Zora, come here. Hey, Decker, Zora. You started some stuff? I heard that barking. Don't you bother, Zora. I heard it. Don't start anything. Don't make me get up from here. Like children. And I'm talking to them like they understand me. Hey. Hope I don't have to get up from here. So basically, they wanted to know, how do you be true to your quirks but navigate spaces in a professional manner? When I was young, of course, I did not care about who liked or did not like my quirks. Especially when I was dating, I was like, after like 3 or 4 months, hey, after 3 or 4 months, dudes would be like, and then he's like, why do you, and then they would go away, and I was like, okay. I wasn't going to alter myself for anyone. I was just navigating through life. As I used to tell everybody, I used to want to, back when I wanted to be a doctor, I thought anesthesiologist would be perfect because it's the kind of doctor that put people to sleep. So I wouldn't have to talk to people, just put a mask over your face. You'd have to talk to everybody else. But anyway, just, just quirky. Just quirky, quirky, quirky. Now, my mother said this to me when I was young, and I was upset about something or other. And she said, I can't make the world smooth for you, but I can help you navigate the bumps in its road. And part of what she was teaching me was, you got to know where you are, understand where you are, and know how to ride that particular ride. And remember, I was brought up by a woman born in 1930 and a man born in 1919. Nobody indulged quirks back in them days. You know what I mean? You were doing this, that, and the other. World War II happened. He went, and this is, nobody worried about that. But now we have so much more ability to own our individual. I don't know. There were quirky people all the time, all the way through. It just, my parents did not have time for quirk. They had time for work, and that was about it. And they understood how quirky their youngest child was, which was important. Remember, I told you the story about me beating up bushes with bats and all that kind of stuff, because I had a lot of quirk going on, and they knew it. But what she explained to me was, quirk is fine, but don't let quirk interfere with what you need. So I thought it through, and here are some of the rules I follow to keep my quirk from hurting my work. I respect where I am. Do you know what I'm saying? I respect where I am. I have the right to be me, but I don't have the right to be disruptive unnecessarily and for no good reason. You do not take Super Bowl energy to church. Well, you can, but you don't take it to a funeral, or I don't know. There's some churches where, to a funeral in Louisiana, and they be partying and stuff. But if you go into a Catholic church, it is not a call and response like it is in a black church. So I respect where I am. I remember this one time. It was me, and her name was Joanne, and I was a judge, and she was a council person, and we ended up at the same. And sometimes, you have to do the rotation with all the churches and stuff, and she had never been to a black church before. And I was sitting next to her, and she said, "Oh my God, they talk back." And I said, "Not only that, if they don't talk back, minister will say something to you about, I can't hear, you're not hearing me today. I can't hear you. Am I in here alone? Is somebody in here? So it's a whole different, so you got to respect it. But I can't go into a Catholic church and say, yes, Lord. That's not what they doing in there. So you respect where you are. Now you can think all the quirky thoughts you want. And you can manage all the little quirks you need. But respect the environment that you're in. And that's not denying your individuality or humanity or your quirk. That's not denying. We all live here together. It's a small little box with billions of people in it. And if everybody just worked their quirk without any acknowledgement that we all got quirks, then we're just in trouble. We are just absolutely in trouble. I also have a very, very good handle on my quirk. So I pay attention to how people respond to my quirkiness. I tend to be over the top when I get excited about something. And I remember one time, I bought this house up the street that was going to be my she shack. Just a little house. Didn't tell her. Just went and bought it. And got into huge battle with the bank about it because I said, look, I need you to float me a loan for 90 days for the cost of this house. And then I'll pay you back in 90 days. And I want it at prime plus one. Because I had a lot of money in their bank. I'm still having light issues, aren't I? And they wouldn't do it. And somebody called me and says, well, we'll do it, but at some outrageous interest rates. And I said, look, I got more money in your bank than I'm asking to borrow. And I'm telling you, I'm going to give it to you back in 90 days. I want a good interest rate. And they went and didn't do it, and I pulled all my money out of the bank and went to another one. I'll tell you about that some other day. Huffy little girl, I'm in my little jeans, mad, walking across the street because I just found another bank. Chase happened to be across the street. I just had my little money. I didn't take it all out at once, but I took a significant portion out because I'm going to another bank. And I was all junky and sweaty and carrying on. And I sit down and I said, I want to open an account. And I undo my purse, and my purse is just like, I'm just a chaotic chick. And I took out money from here, and I had money from there, and I had them give me a check and this. And the guy kind of looked, and he looked at it. He said, let me get the manager. Because he was like, I don't know who this chick and what this chick is doing, and I don't know who is this little, no makeup on. Probably my clothes were raggedy, hair on top of my head, and they couldn't figure out what I'm doing with all this money and why I was so mad, this and that. And by the time I left, I was at the bank for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, because I was setting up everything to move all my money from that bank to this bank. And by the time I walked out of the door, I saw on somebody's computer screen, they had pulled up divorce court. They figured it out because like, what is this chick? All hot and unhappy. But anyway, I'm sorry, that was a tangent. But I have my paper so I can go right back to it. Like, get a second set of eyes on your quirk. You got to know what your quirk looks like to other people. You got to know how your quirk makes other people feel. Because oftentimes what I'm trying to do is control the situation. I cannot control the situation if I'm not in control of my emotions. And I can better control the situation if I understand your emotions better than you do. And a lot of times you can manage that because most of the time, most people don't spend a lot of time working their quirk. So I watch with my second set of eyes. I'm always in the conversation and beside the conversation at the same time. I watch how people look at me. I honed this on the bench. 70 people in the morning, I'd arraign them. Just arraign them. And I would watch them, and I would talk to them, and I would change how I spoke to them depending on their response to me. Some people I would go funny with. Some people I would go, now can you hear this? Some people I would go, I know. Y'all ain't getting nowhere with me with that kind of nonsense. What you doing? I understand. You know what I mean? You take it and you handle your quirk in a way that makes that you know how people respond to it, so you can not just survive your quirk, but use it. You know what I mean? Just use it in a way that allows you to live better. And you have to figure out what your quirk is, what it does. Let me see. One of my quirks is I'm 120% in or I'm not in at all. And I got to decide whether I'm in or I'm out in the beginning. So I know my 120 quirk rule. So I know that's my quirk. So the things that I pick up to do, I have to know if I have the time and the energy and this and that to give it the 125, or else it's not going to work out. And, some of my quirk is I like to do everything in the morning. I like to do the things I don't like first thing. And I don't like making phone calls. So I text a lot and ask you to call me back. Or, I got quirks. But you have to work your quirks. You got to have a clear understanding what's good. I do not entertain any quirks that cost me. That's a lie. I do entertain my quirks that cost me money, but I look at them really hard, and few of them get entertained. That's number one. Number two, the people that know me, I mean, really know me, I don't expect them to figure my quirks out. I tell them. That kind of stuff upsets. I remember I told my sister-in-law once. She says she borrowed some money from me, and I said, "Listen, I got enough of it." I wasn't on TV then. I was a judge, but I was a judge. I said, "I'm funny about my money." I said, "I know I can afford to lose what I'm giving you, but I won't like you if you don't give it back." And she gave it back, and then it was not about it at all. But I know my quirk. My quirk is like, if I lend you money and you don't offer to pay it back, that was how I used to handle that quirk. And that was a little hard on some people. So what I would do is, if I'm going to lend you money, I will say this is a loan, and I will give it to you. And I did it not to anybody, just family or something. And I did that once. And my rule is, especially if it's not a huge sum, if you offer to pay it back, I'll loan it to. I won't take it. I was like, no, you can keep it. Because I just had a buddy do that. Hey, could I get it hold? So I said, sure. Gave it to me. And he said, hey, I'm going to get it back. And I said, no. You offered to repay it. That's all I needed. And then one person I know asked for some money, and I gave it to him. I loaned it to him. And I would have done Ali oxen free for them. But they never offered to pay it back. And then months later, they asked for more money. And that's when I realized they thought I was a bank. The bank is somebody you don't have to thank. The bank is down the street where you can get money without an explanation. The bank can afford to lose the money you don't pay back. That's the bank. Now me, I'm a chick with an opinion. I want to know what you want the money for, how, and all this kind of stuff, and when you get all of that. But don't call me and treat me like a bank, and you pay the bank back, but you ain't gonna pay me back. You ain't gonna offer. I'm sorry. You can adjust your quirks. And there's nothing, people have this thing about, I want to be my authentic self, and people take me like I am, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm the same way. I mean, I got my odd and my weird and my unusual, and I do it, but I don't think the world has to walk around me. I'm going to tell you a story. I was in court back in 1997 or 8 or something. And this woman came in there and said she had gone in with her cousin or her sister or something to her son's 3rd grade classroom and threatened to kick her behind, okay, in the middle of a class. So the teacher hit the alarm button, which isn't that sad that a 3rd grade teacher has to have an alarm button in her schoolroom. But I mean, this was back in 1990s before everything. But anyway, so she pushed the alarm button, and the woman came up to me and she said, my son has whatever. And a teacher needs to know how he needs to be treated in every circumstance. And I said, so let me get this straight. You believe that the rest of the world should, her son had hit somebody and he got in trouble for it. And she's, the appropriate response to when an ADD kid or whatever acts out is not to punish them, it's to do A, B, C, D, and E. And I said, well, first of all, what are you going to do? You're going to buy him a shirt that says, I have ADHD, or I have ABCD, or I have XYZ, and I should be able to hit you without consequence? I mean, he's going to have to function in a world that doesn't have to tolerate that. I said, that's one thing. And I said, just not for nothing, the fact that your response to his teacher disciplining him for hitting someone was to come in crewed up with your cousin or whomever and walk in the middle of a third grade classroom and threaten to beat her behind. Maybe ADD is or ABC or whatever may not be his only problem. Maybe he's living what he's seeing. Go think about that. I was born, and I believe that kids have diagnoses. I believe that kids have problems. I believe all of that, and this and that, but I also believe that you have to raise your children in a manner in which they will be able to handle themselves in the world without having to go in and out of jail and in and out of problems and be able to hold a job. And sometimes you just have to work with them, not just, oh, that's little Johnny. Yeah, that's little Johnny. One more time. I had a couple. I had a dude in court. He was about 25, 26, and he had gotten caught for, I don't know what he was doing, something dumb. And it wasn't that big a deal. And I saw his parents in the back, just a waving their arms. And I said, let me guess, you're his parents. And they said, yes, can we speak with you? I said, no. And, hey. So I said, it's killing you back there, isn't it? Yeah. I said, come on. So they came up, and I said, now, what do you have to say? And they were talking about how, we've never really required him to stand up, and consequences, we've overindulged him, and we just don't want you to harm you to put him in jail for our parenting mistakes. And I said, so what are you going to do? You going to follow him around the rest of the world? And I mean, he shoots somebody. You going to go to jail for life? What are you doing? And I said, you're continuing to misparent him even as we speak. I said, what you need to do is have him held responsible for the things he did. And I'm going to show you just how to do it. Have a seat. And I sentenced him. You can work your quirks. Okay. And if I got a quirk, I can't work. And it might bother you, I warn you. And I care about you, I warn you. I'm funny about this, And that's the part I loved about Eric. He knew all my quirks. And he liked a lot of them, which is nice. Now, DeAndre said, I don't know if it's DeAndre or Deandra, and I'm so sorry. So that's why I keep saying, well, anyway. The word for the day is Manichaean. I think we are far too Manichaean in our judgments these days. Manichaean is a dualism that takes any complex situation and says it's either good or bad. There's right and wrong, good and evil. So it ignores nuance, it ignores complexity. And I think we're doing a lot these days. One, because we're speaking to each other, about each other, not from places of thoughtfulness, but we're trying to get into beefs, or we're trying to speak as an authority, like, as a woman, I know how women feel. No, I know how this woman feels. I don't know how most women feel. I don't know. You know what I mean? I know I'm a quart low on estrogen. That's one of my quirks. So, Manichaean, and I can't stand that, right or wrong, yes or no. Your humanity is not a simple thing. It's complex. It's deep. It's thick. You can't say she's this, and this. She's female. She's black. She's 65, and define me. And I can't define you that way. There's so much to know. Our humanity is not in the large labels. It's in the fine print. That's in the back of your shirt that tells you how to keep it washed and all that. That's where it is. It's not, having some other person's name across your chest. I got a thing about that. I never understood it. But anyway, I'm cheap. That's part of the problem. But I don't know how it makes you any cooler to have somebody else's name on your chest. But that's just me. I mean, that's another quirk that I have. But anyway, sorry for being so close to you, but I'm having such light problems. I don't quite know what to do. But y'all have a good day. Decker wanted to say goodbye. Okay, look up, look. I don't know if he saw himself or what. Y'all have a good day. Manichaean, word of the day. Y'all take it easy.